Hey, hello everyone. Welcome to the live stream. Once again, a ton of technical difficulties. I hope everything is being broadcast properly, like the sound is good. I know I had that crazy screeching sound. I'm having a lot of trouble with my internet connection at the home. I don't have it. I've had no internet over the weekend. That's why I had to cancel the live stream a couple of weeks ago. I'm trying to get the cable, people here, and they just can't seem to get here. They can't seem to fix it. But I'm live streaming now through a hotspot through the iPhone, so I hope it works good. Okay, but let's get right to it. Today we're going to talk about an intermittent fasting and like workout plan that you can follow, like for longevity, so you have like a long, happy, healthy life. I don't know, this could be a beginner, there could be an advanced, could be for anyone. This is a plan that I think really just about anyone can benefit from. First, let's say hello to everyone. I know we got a lot of people in the room already. Hey, we got Jeff. Oh, yes, you were hearing that noise, Jeff. Oh, thanks. I'm assuming the noise is gone. If it's not gone, guys, let me know. I think the issue is that since I'm live streaming through my phone, you have to have the phone on 0 volume, or else there's like a kickback. So I'm assuming it's all fixed. So sorry about that, guys. Thanks for showing up, Jeff. I appreciate it. Oh, we got Big John from New York. Thanks, John, for showing up. I'm glad you're here. Then we got the Wise Man. Oh, thanks for showing up, Wise Man. You've been leaving a lot of great comments on the channel. I really appreciate it. Good morning, everyone. I would join, but Wise Man has to go to church. He'll watch later, but I appreciate you watching the replay. Mr. Patel, good afternoon from the UK. Awesome. That's great. There were my apologies for fixing the noise. Jeff, I don't hear it anymore. Fantastic. And we got Gene in the house. Thanks for showing up again, Gene. That's wonderful. Let me see. Hey, Mike. Oh, thanks for showing up. That's fantastic. Harriet's here too. Thanks. That's funny. And we got Steve, my man from my buddy from my dearest friend from California. Steven's here. Thanks, Steve, for showing up too. Sorry for the late start, guy. We got Juicy here. Hey, Mike. I can't wait to finally reach my goal weight. I know you're getting close. That's great. It's all good now. That's great. From 18. Wow, incredible. And then we got James. Good morning, James, from hot Southern California. Oh my God, 110 degrees. I've never seen a recording like that in Southern California, a reading that high. Because it's almost like Arizona, which is unbelievable, incredible. All right, let's get right to it. Let's talk about an intermittent fasting and workout plan that you can follow for longevity, or really for just good health. I mean, I wanted this live stream to be kind of like, since the summer's ending and we're getting back to like the school year, everyone, just like a really healthy lifestyle plan that pretty much anyone can follow, whether you're young, old, but I kind of geared it a little bit toward longevity. Even if you're a beginner, you just want to keep your body in good shape, you want to maintain muscle mass, if not put on muscle mass. And I'm going to talk about just my simple, favorite, easiest like meal plan and intermittent fasting strategy that you can follow. Now, if you're new to me, if you're brand new, my name is 𝘾𝙊𝘼𝘾𝙃. I've been a fitness trainer and gym owner for over 30 years. I opened up my first gym in 1989 in New York. So I literally have helped thousands of people like lose weight, put on muscle, maintain low body fat levels, and just pretty much just look and feel their absolute best. And obviously, if you have any questions, just ask your questions. You don't have to wait to the end. I like answering questions all along the way. But let's go over exactly what we're going to cover. We're going to go over like an optimal amount of exercise that you should be doing to live a long, healthy life. And that's a big key. I find that people who like to work out just work out too much, and they're always hurting themselves, like myself, right? So there is, in my opinion, an optimal dose, and there's also, in my opinion, an optimal amount of intensity that you should be training. You're going to see, my opinion is, and I'll back this up with a little bit of research and just my own personal opinion working with thousands of people, 80% of the exercise that you should be doing should not be hard, should be easy to moderate. And we got to it. But Juicy's got a question. Hey, Mike, if you put on crazy muscle, wouldn't that make your calorie deficit larger, which means you will burn more fat? Yes, to some degree, sure. Because, muscle requires energy to live. I think I've told this story before. Years ago when I first started reading, these muscle magazines like Muscle and Fitness, Joe Weider's publication, Iron Man, that was a bodybuilding publication back like in the 70s when I was young, like a young teenager. They always used to say, like, for every gram of muscle you put on for every pound of muscle you put on your body, you're going to increase your metabolism of like 30, 40, 50 calories. And it turns out that that's not really true. You do get a little bit of a boost. And I think from the research, it's just somewhere around maybe 6 or 7 calories. It's probably more like it for every additional pound of muscle you put on your body, which is still significant. Let's say you put on 5 pounds of muscle. That's an extra 30 calories a day, right? 100 calories a day, if you're just going by math, is 10 pounds a year. So it's definitely a good way to increase your metabolism. A good way just to maintain a good metabolism as you age is to maintain muscle mass, if not put on muscle. So definitely. Hey, Kerry. Yeah, hey, how you doing? Thanks for showing up. Thanks, Kerry. That's great. Cool. Okay. And then we're going to go over just my favorite, simplest, easiest to follow intermittent fasting schedule. And then we'll talk about a meal plan. Once again, in the Q&A at the end, I'm going to pull up a whole bunch of meals. I pull up some old and new meals this time just to show you what I think is considered to be a whole natural food diet, how I think you should eat. You know, everyone, if you follow me, I lean to more of that low-carb, whole natural food diet. And this is pretty much going to be just a healthy lifestyle presentation today. Okay, so let's go to the next slide, and we'll give you like an overview of like we'll talk about the workout plan first, and then towards the end of the presentation we'll go over the intermittent fasting strategy. But let's see, Juicy, get another question here. I've had such an amazing fish pie recently. Salmon was the best. Oh, that's cool. I know. See, Juicy's saying that because if you follow me on Instagram, if you follow me on TikTok lately, even on YouTube, I've been putting some of them on. I've been doing a lot of short video format showing you exactly how I break my fast. And I lean more towards that pescatarian type of a lifestyle. Like most of my animal protein is in the form of fish, is salmon, like Arctic char, things like that, you know, salmon roe, fish eggs, sardines. I get most of my animal protein from fish because I want those high omega-3s. You know, omega-3s are those essential fatty acids that you have to get through your diet for good health. Just like there's certain proteins, like complete proteins, you need those non-essential amino acids for good health, like your body can't make them. Same things with those essential fatty acids. So I try to eat a diet that's very high in omega-3 fatty acids. Great for brain health, great for reducing inflammation in your body. There's been some great studies about omega-3s, and sometimes I even take an omega-3 fish supplement. But there are days when I'm eating salmon for lunch, you know, and maybe like sardines for dinner or vice versa. On a day like that, I'm getting tons of omega-3s. But you can get omega-3s from other sources too, like from flaxseed and, you know, from eggs, you know, pasture-raised eggs. And there is omega-3s in, you know, red meat, especially if it's grass-fed, grass-finished. But I lean a little bit more pescatarian, even though I do eat red meat as well, and poultry. Okay, so let's go over what I would consider like an ideal workout schedule. If you don't want to hurt yourself, if you don't want to overtrain, if you want just like optimal health, and this is not necessarily for a bodybuilder, you know, if you're really into bodybuilding, especially if you're on the younger side and you want to get as muscular as humanly possible, you may, in my opinion, have to sacrifice a little bit of your health and longevity, well-being, to look a certain way. Same thing with, like, you know, say world-class athletes. And I just listened to Mark Sisson. You know, I bring him up all the time. Mark Sisson is the guy who wrote that book, The Primal Blueprint. Plus, he has a company called Primal Kitchen where he manufactures foods and supplements. He sold the company for, I think, like $50 million a couple of years ago. But he's really still active with the company. He's written multiple books. I think the last book he wrote was very similar to my beliefs. He wrote a book called The 2 Meal a Day Diet, which obviously, you know, I'm a big believer in that. But he also wrote a book that I love called Primal Endurance, which talks about a lot of the concepts that I'm going to talk about when it comes to exercise. Like, he was a world-class endurance athlete, and he's a few years older than me. I'm 60. He's probably like 64, 65. And he talks about how he damaged his left ventricle and his heart from training too hard, too long. For example, when you do, like, say, aerobics, high-intensity aerobics, he was like a long-distance runner, and you're running at almost max heart rate. Let's say you're running at 180 beats per minute, 190 beats per minute. You're doing that for like 45 minutes, an hour, multiple times a day. Let's say you're taking a spinning class for an hour and 15 minutes, and you're just going all out. Over time, that really can damage your heart if you're doing that for decades. If you look at a lot of the world-class athletes that are around our age, my generation, Mark Spitz, the Olympic swimmer, he has AFib, right? Billie Jean King has AFib. Larry Bird has AFib. AFib is like an irregular heart rate, when your heart skips and your heart flutters. And it's so common. It's something you really have to think about. And Mark Sisson was talking about, even though he was in the best, maybe physical shape of his life when he was back then, he also felt like he was also getting sick all the time. He had respiratory issues. He had joint pain. Like when it comes to exercise, I'm somewhat of a minimalist, and you can create a response without killing yourself, without going doing resistance training to failure, without like running or doing aerobics at like near max heart rate. You have to be like strategic, and there is an optimal dose, and that's kind of what we're really going to talk about today. But let's see, we got some other questions. Okay. I had salmon juice. He said, "What do you think of squid?" No, I love squid. I love calamari. I'm mostly Italian. I used to love like cold seafood salad with squid, calamari, shrimp, clams. I love that. It's one of my favorite things. Hey, thanks, Gene. It hits me up with these super chats. I really appreciate it. It really keeps me motivated, keeps me going for this channel, which is really great. Thanks again, Gene. Let's see. I completely fumbled the start of my very low calorie diet. I know you started a week early because initially you said you were going to wait till after Labor Day. I thought that may have been a better idea because Labor Day messes things up last week. Well, there we go. Okay, my plan was to start on Labor Day for the last 2 months, and finally decided to wait. Yeah, Gene, don't feel bad yet. In my opinion, we're totally still in like summer mode. You know what I mean? I would really wait till after Labor Day. Plus, it's another 3-day week, and actually, my wife and daughter are away this week. I visited my son at college, had an incredible time. I love seeing him. And I got friends coming over tonight. I'm going to be cheating a little bit. In my mind, even myself personally, Tuesday morning is going to come. That's like the work season, back to work, school's open, the high schools, middle schools, everyone's hustling, bustling. I think that's a better time to do it, Gene. Don't feel upset. You've done great. I know you're going to reach your goal weight this year, and you're going to do it quickly. I'm really confident about it. So you're doing great. I wouldn't worry about it. Okay. Hey, Mike, I'm 18 and was interested in doing intermittent fasting. Okay, it's interesting because Juicy is a year or so younger than you. And I like that you told me your age because, in my opinion, you have to be a little bit careful, even at 18, because, in my opinion, you are still growing. And so much that the foundation of like your bone density, like the amount of calcium you absorb, protein, brain development, is determined in your growing years. So I think at 18, I think you can kind of experiment with intermittent fasting. I wouldn't do anything aggressive. Something more like we're going to talk about at the end of the video, more like a 16-8, where maybe you fast for 16 hours, taking all your calories with an 8-hour eating window. I wouldn't even do that every single day at 18. I like to learn a little bit more about you and what your goals are. But I would be a little bit careful with the intermittent fasting. And truthfully, if you really follow me, even though I love intermittent fasting, I think it's probably the easiest and simplest way to control calories. Plus, I put so many clients, like I said, I've worked with thousands of people over the 30, 35 years I've been doing this. And out of all the different like diet and calorie restriction strategies, I think intermittent fasting is by far the best and the easiest way to do it. But be a little bit careful with it and make sure you're taking really good nutrition when you're fooling around with intermittent fasting. But we're going to talk about that in great detail towards the end of this. And we can stay. Let me first pull up Debbie. I think Debbie was ahead of you, Steve. Debbie agreed. I used to do a lot of intense running and biking, and I developed. You did develop AFib. Oh, sorry, Debbie. You can deal with AFib, obviously. Maybe you're taking a beta blocker, maybe you're doing some type of medication for it. But you really do have to be careful. I think moderate exercise is so much healthier. I totally agree. And I even listened to another podcast I listened to multiple podcasts about this, and I even read a number of different studies on it. Peter Attia did a great podcast with a cardiologist who's kind of like specializes in exercise. And he's kind of like a fitness type cardiologist. And he even thinks some of this is possibly reversible with moderate exercise. He's seen like, my heart doesn't skip too much anymore. But what I think, when I was training really intensely, I used to lift weights for like 2 hours a day and brutalize myself. I would get a lot of blips, like not an irregular heart rate, not a blip, tachycardia, where my heart would like race a little bit or blip. since I switched over like 10, 15 years ago to much more of a moderate approach in my like 90-minute walks, my 30-minute walks, my heart barely skips. Very, very rarely do I get a blip. So he was saying that the heart can even heal itself to some degree. So I know you're concerned about it. Try not to get too upset, Deb. But lean more towards moderate exercise like I'm going to be talking about now. But I know you agree about it. I know you agree. Let's see what Steve's got to say, my man Steve. But you wish you had insight on working out moderate when you are. Yeah, that's what Steve's saying. Because Steve knows me. I'm an extremist, especially when it comes to the exercise. You get mentally addicted to it. You get addicted to the endorphins, the dopamine release. Yeah, I overdid it. I ignored pain. I worked out in pain. Like I told you, I remember going on a snowboarding trip with my wife. We went out to Breckenridge, and I took a bad fall, dislocated my shoulder. I didn't realize that I actually tore the labrum in my shoulder when I fell. Came back home, tons of pain, benching 275 in pain for years, created like a bone spur in my shoulder. So, that's going to be a big point, in some of my other slides. Do not exercise. Do not train in pain. No matter how bad you want to do that particular move and that particular exercise, you cannot train in pain. There are some situations when you're going through a rehab process, especially if you're working with like a licensed therapist or even a trainer who really knows what they're doing, where you can experience a little bit of discomfort, maybe a 1 or 2 level of pain, just to open things up. But that's a whole other video, for sure. So let's see. Okay, during work, my lunch break is 12:25. What time should my second meal be? Okay. Like if you're doing, let's say you're doing a 16-8, right? So you've been fasting for 16 hours. You're having your first meal at 12:25. Just think you have an 8-hour eating window. So that would put you at, I think if my numbers are right, that would put you at 8:25 p.m., right? You have your first meal 12:25. Either you can have maybe a little snack in between because I want you to keep your protein up, especially since you're growing. And then I want you to have a good dinner. But in your case, especially when you're 18, whole natural food diet, a good amount of those like high quality proteins, those essential fatty acids, tons of vegetables, couple of fruits, just eliminate the processed food, for sure. When I do, this is juicy, when I do OMAD, the food tastes 20 times better. Yeah, that's true. Sometimes when OMAD, if you're not sure what OMAD is, it stands for 1 meal a day diet, right? And when you're doing the OMAD diet, like they say Juicy's been fasting for 22, 23 hours. Of course, the food's going to taste incredible. That's why sometimes I find you can go 2 ways with the OMAD diet. Some people feel like they can eat anything they want because that's why they're doing it. They want to reduce calories, stay with the junk food, stay with the garbage food. But I find sometimes when you do an OMAD, things taste so incredibly good. Like you put some blueberries, they taste like you're eating candy, right? Because you just haven't eaten for 22, 23 hours. So it can go either way. It depends on you. It depends on the personality. Okay. You helped me reach my higher goal when I first watched your video. I weighed 205 and now I'm 184. I would get to 175. Oh, that's fantastic. Really excited for you. That's great. I love hearing stories like that. I love hearing those type of stories. Okay, I had one tennis match. Okay, this is Jeff from Texas. I had one tennis match in the spring where I couldn't get my heart to slow down. That could happen, but they may not necessarily be. I know you play tennis hard. Most likely what I'm assuming that is, especially Texas, even though spring, I bet you were a little bit dehydrated. You could have been a little bit low in potassium. And when you mean couldn't get your heart rate down, you're assuming like what, your heart stayed at like a 120, a 110, something like that. If your heart did stay at like 170, 180, like a really high level, I'd be a little bit more concerned about that. But even if it's one episode, and it's interesting because I've trained so many doctors, and I trained this cardiologist. This is like 20, 25 years ago, and I think I was getting my skip spin. I remember mentioning it to him, and he said to me, Mike, he said, a general rule I follow, and I'm not a doctor, so don't take this as medical advice, but this is just what this doctor told me personally. He said, if anything weird happens to your heart, and it lasts for less than a minute, don't worry about it. Like things just happen. And when I was getting those little blips, those little skips, and I went to a cardiologist, I wore the monitor, like the whole deal. The guy said to me, Mike, who knows? You're probably working out too hard. Maybe a little bit low in potassium. Maybe you were a little dehydrated that day. Maybe you've been drinking too much caffeine. So Jeff, sometimes you get a little caught. If it's a one-time episode, and when you mean, like I said, if it really stayed elevated, like 180, 190, almost near your max rate, and you couldn't get it down, then I definitely would go talk to your doctor about it. But next time you have your physical, just mention it to him or her, your physician, and see what they say. But that could happen from dehydration and just from pushing yourself too hard. I had another buddy of mine who was a serious cyclist. Same thing happened to him, but he had like a regular heartbeat lasted for like 4. Not the same as you, Jeff, but he had a similar situation. Real aggressive biker. He'd get his heart rate up to. I think he was doing the type of workouts that I don't want you to do. He lives in San Francisco. He would cycle to work and cycle home. Real intense workout guy. Semi-pro like cyclist. One time he was doing that, really pushing it. His heart went into an irregular beat. Couldn't get it to go away. Even went to the hospital. They say he wasn't AFib. It just was like fluttering, and it was 45 minutes. They just told him, it's not good to push your heart that hard that long. And he just never did it again. He used to say to me, Mike, I don't know if I enjoy those hard bike rides as much as I used to. And he's about 10 years younger than me, so I haven't spoken to him in a while. I wonder how he's doing. But the heart can do weird things. It's not good. You know how many, like just working in a gym for 30 or 35 years, you know how many people, especially when I was working in those big box gyms, like not Equinox, but back then there was no, just let's say like an Equinox, but I don't want to say anything bad about Equinox because it wasn't that particular gym. You know how many people I would see faint every single day? You have a gym with 5,000 members, a big one of those big gyms. Every single day, people are fainting. People are throwing up from working too hard. I had a client come to me about a year ago, and this is like an older population. I think the wife was maybe in her late 70s, the husband was in his early 80s. They started training with me, and before they started working with me, they actually, I don't know how they did it, they actually went to Orange Theory and did some classes there. And Orange Theory, if you don't know, it's a type of gym, it's a group environment where they use this concept where they really want your heart rate to be very high for most of the workout. They call it like the orange zone. You wear a heart rate monitor, you do like a treadmill, you do a rowing machine, all interval based. Then you do like a resistance training, and you kind of change stations. And they said to me, the reason why they stopped is because multiple times the ambulance showed up at the gym to take someone away because they passed out during the workout. He said not once or twice. He says multiple times it happened. It's not good. You reach your point of diminishing return. So that's the main thing I want to drive home. Moderate exercise to easy exercise is one of the keys to longevity. It's somewhat toxic to push yourself that hard. Those metabolites, a little bit of them are good, like the hydrogen, lactate that you build up when you're working out. But consistently going like all out, whether it's aerobics or, cardio training or whether it's lifting weights, is not good. It really isn't. You want the ideal balance. Hey, thanks for showing up again. 𝘾𝙊𝘾𝙃𝙄𝙉𝙂. I hope I pronounced that correctly. I weighed 221 pounds September 1st, down from 325. Incredible. I'm really proud of you. That's great. I'm 36'6'1", and I feel close and far from my 175 goal. I feel close and far. I know. You've done so well, right? I'm starting to run in the mountains a bit. That sounds great. Hey, you've done so incredibly well. I'm sure you'll get there. And actually, 6'1", depending upon your muscle mass, I don't know. 175 might be a little. I don't even think you may not have to go that low. I don't know what your blood work is and what your numbers. I'm sure you can go as low as you like, but I think at 6'1", I even think, I don't know, 195, 200, depending upon your muscle mass, 36. I think that would be a nice weight. If you want to go like movie star lean, you know what I mean? Like, so it's funny when I say movie star lean is, I had a website called Movie Star Body, where, I didn't feel like great about the website because, even though I was making some money from the website because I used to do affiliate marketing. Like I was selling this program called Visual Impact, which was a kind of a workout system that this guy named Rusty Moore was doing. I was in like a mastermind group with him. So I had this website called Movie Star Body, and his whole concept was you can train in a way where you don't get too big muscles. You get lean like a movie star. And I was selling this program. I was doing pretty well, and then I just got tired of using it. As soon as I stopped and didn't renew the URL. Another guy grabbed that website from me, just the URL, and he turned it into like a multi-million-dollar business. I forget the guy's name, but if you Google movie star body, you'll see him come up. He does incredibly well on YouTube. Like, he's a young, handsome guy and like in great shape, and he has this whole program like Achieve the Movie Star Body. It's kind of funny. I guess I should have kept that URL. You know, interesting. Let's see. Okay, I remember when I used to be 184. I think it was back in March. Are you doing great, Juice? I think you said you're 160 now, right? You want to get to 150. That's great. Kerry, I'm on a diet break right now. I'm burning out. Yeah, no, I burn out all the time too. And I'm a big, well, you know, but you follow me. I'm a big believer in those diet breaks. You got to take them. You can't be in a calorie deficit all the time. Not good for your metabolism. You can over-exaggerate that metabolic adaptation. It's really good to mix it up. I go in and out. Whether you're going in and out on a daily basis, a weekly basis, a monthly basis, you need the diet break. I totally agree. Let's see what Gene said. As I said, I want to lose 60 pounds by Christmas. I think 4 weeks of very low-calorie diet, then a 1 week break, then repeat again until Christmas. Love it. I like it, Gene. I think we talked about too. You're going to do a little bit more when it comes to the calories on the very low-calorie diet, maybe 1,000 to 1,200, which I like. And you can prioritize protein like we talked about, which is great. Love it. Okay, we got some more. Okay, we disagree. We got a bunch of cool comments today. Okay, Juicy, he's taking some vitamins along with the copper, magnesium, fish oil tablets. Great. I think that sounds good. Cool. I love biking outside. I hate biking on exercise because I feel boring. Okay, much prefer the treadmill. Okay, Juicy saying that. He doesn't like the exercise bike. He prefers the treadmill. Yeah, but I don't think it makes that. That's another thing you're going to see. When I talk about the exercise prescription here, even though I've been a trainer for like 40 years, it doesn't make all that much difference which exercises. In my opinion, which sounds kind of crazy coming from a trainer, you do, as long as you're doing the basic movements. Like when it comes to resistance training, we're going to talk about it. Like you push, you pull, right? You do some squats. It doesn't really make all that much difference. And it doesn't make a difference whether you're on the treadmill, whether you're on the bike, whether you're on the elliptical, or whether you're like jogging. As long as you're creating the response, it doesn't really make a difference. Okay, this is another question from James. Mike, sometimes at dinner time, I'm really hungry. I eat a lot to get full, like a big steak, 4 eggs, and a can of sardines, and an avocado. Seems like a lot to me, but I'm hungry. That's okay. Hey, it's okay. I mean, you're probably taking in a lot of protein in that one meal. I think that's okay. So I figured, are you doing? You're doing the OMAD diet, James? Is that what you're doing? But hey, if you're reaching goals, you're doing well. I like it. I have no issues with it at all. I mean, I get hungry too. Okay, 6 feet according to Bunny. I should be 140 to 150. Okay, this is Juicy saying he's 6 feet tall. According to the BMI scale, I should be between 140 to 170. Middle ground is 155. It's hard to go by those scales because it depends on your muscle mass. I mean, look in the mirror, see how you look. Don't overdo it though, Juicy, because I know we talked about this last time. I definitely want you, anything you do when it comes to your diet, anything you do when it comes to fasting, I want you to be in coherence, in constant communication with your parents and your physician and your doctor. Don't overdo it. Maybe you're at the ideal weight now already at that 160, at 6 feet tall. 166 feet, young guy. I mean, that might be an ideal weight for you. You might be at your perfect weight already. Yeah, I do 1.5 meals a day. No, that sounds good, James. I like that then, because you do want to take in an adequate amount of protein. Just make sure you're getting enough fiber, because I think you said in your comment, you're getting the avocado, so you're getting 15, 17 grams of fiber there. High protein, good healthy fat. No, I think you're doing good. I like the OMAD 1.5 too. I think it's a great way of doing it. Okay, so let's go over this. Okay, so let's go over like my concept. 80% of your exercise should not be hard. Hard workouts, just a general rule, should be short in duration. What I mean short, maybe 15, 20 minutes or less. Even a 10-minute workout. I always say a short workout is better than no workout. Okay? This is the general concept of the workout plan. 2 or 3 full body resistance training workouts per week. We're going to go into that in great detail later on. I like to do 1 or 2 of those high intensity, like cardio type workouts per week. Even 1, but they're going to be really short, right? then I want you to do a lot. Most of your activity is going to be long, easy aerobic activity like walking. That's key. And then you want to do some mobility movement every single day. So even when it comes to the resistance training, when it comes to your cardio training, you just think the HIIT training is going to increase that VO2 max, going to give you a super strong, healthy heart. It could be very, very short in duration. The resistance training are going to be moderately short, maybe 30 to 40 minutes. The long, easy aerobics is going to be like walking pretty much as you can. A minimum of 30 minutes, maybe 90 minutes a day. I really want you to walk everywhere. And then we'll talk about mobility movement. Mobility movement is just being able to move in all planes of motion to keep the joints lubricated, to keep your spine young, to keep the hips healthy, over time. And we'll talk about some mobility movements you can do. But let's first go over, this is my other camera angle, right? I like this angle better though, the resistance training program. Okay, let's see okay, right. I'm 184, technically overweight at 5'11", but I feel very great, including being able to work out in a great manner. Okay, that sounds good. Okay, Juicy said, I can feel fat in my face like a double chin. It's not a bad, and to be truthful, Juicy, you seem like such a nice kid, young man, young gal. I'm not sure if you're a boy or girl. And I know you've done really well, with all this, but similar to me, and don't take this as an insult, you seem to be a little bit of an extremist, like I'm an extremist. And I was an extremist like that. That's why Steve talked about how I would work out in my 20s and 30s, like in pain. I just wanted to get muscular. I wouldn't overdo it. I'm just a little concerned with you overdoing it with the fasting. You sound like you're doing great. You're already at an ideal weight. I mean, I'm sure your face looks incredibly good. If it's, everyone's face gets a little puffy from time to time, maybe a little sore one night or, something like that. You should not be so overly concerned about things like that, especially at a young age, at like 17 years old. You probably look incredible. I'm sure you do. So don't overdo it. Just keep that in mind. And I really appreciate you showing up and asking all the questions, but don't overdo it. I don't want you to make the same mistakes that I made when I was younger. That's the main reason why I have this channel. I'm turned 60. I've been doing this forever. You don't want to overdo it. Don't be an extremist when it comes to diet or exercise. Even when you really study my intermittent fasting, I don't do 7-day fast. I do a 3-day fast every now and then, like so rarely. I'm a big, 16-8, 18-6, eating really well. I mean, that's the key to the whole thing. Okay, so let's go over this resistance training plan. We'll map it out. Okay, so 2 or 3 full body workouts per week on non-consecutive days. Okay, Juju says, my face looks more structured, but how do you get the jawline? Some people have the jawline, some people don't. I'm sure you look incredible. You're young, 17. I wish I can, look like I looked when I was 17. I mean, when you look back, when you're 60 years old and you look back at pictures of yourself, when you're 17 years old, you're going to say, oh my God, that I look unbelievably good. Some people, I don't know, I have a big, structured square jaw. Everyone looks different. I'm sure you look great in your own way. You know what I mean? Okay. So resistance training workout plan. Okay, let's see, Kerry. Okay, Kerry, but when you grow all the way into your face, your jawline will appear. That sounds good, Kerry. I like that. It's a great comment. I agree. Okay. 2 or 3 full body, resistance training workouts per week on non-consecutive days. I think you can really get by with pretty much, it's interesting, guys. I hope we don't lose this. It looks like AT&T is telling me that I'm using up all my bandwidth, even though I have an unlimited plan. So we'll see what happens. If I get cut off from this live stream, I'm really sorry. I'm going to try to speed it up. Okay, 2 or 3 full body workouts per week on non-consecutive days. I think you can just do 2. Maybe if you're younger and you're a little bit more into bodybuilding or whatever, maybe do 3. I think 2 is fine. Okay. This is what James says. My overall goal has been to get 9% body fat by my 55-year-old birthday in December. Close, but I have been eating a lot of things I thought I shouldn't. I think I need a break. But yeah, take a break, James. Take a week off. You got time. I mean, you can get there for sure. I would just take a break for a week or two. Eat maintenance calories. You know, maybe start the week after Labor Day or something like that. Take a break this weekend, right? Okay. The workout should not be too long, 30 to 40 minutes, right? And like I keep on saying, 75% of your weight training should be a moderate level cycle intensity. Meaning that, for example, if you're going to do, say, an 8-week program, in the beginning, only work at maybe 60-70% effort and work up to the last week or two where you're going to, say, 90% effort. So 25% of your training can be at that like 85-90% level, but most of it, 75% of it, should be moderate. And the type of resistance training I like, which I think is the safest, is when you kept the repetitions relatively high, say 12 to 20 reps, so the weight is moderate. But, you know, you can still work out hard with moderate reps. In my opinion, doing a 20-rep set could be a lot harder than just doing a triple and just doing 3 reps, right? I like a slow rep cadence, meaning that minimum 3-second eccentric load. So, for example, say you're doing a push-up, you're pushing up for a count of 2, 1 1,000, 2 1,000, but you're lowering for a count of 3, and then you're pausing on bottom for 1 second. I even like a 5-second eccentric load. What that does is that it keeps the joints safe. Most people get hurt at that point of transformation when you're changing direction. Like, for example, you got the bottom of a push-up and then you push up. That point of transformation, if you're dropping to the floor, right? If you're bench pressing and the weight's like almost bouncing off your chest, that's where you get hurt. Same thing with exercise. Same thing with like sports. Say you're playing tennis, Jeff, and you're running laterally, then you pivot, push off, and change direction. At that point of transformation, that's where you get hurt. You got to train those angles too. Okay. I also like I said, simple, basic exercises, right? Pushing, push-ups, pulling, rows, like, you know, pull-ups, squats, body weight squat, lunges. Don't do kooky things, especially when you want to get done with your workout in 30, 40 minutes. Just do those nice, basic compound movements. Maybe a little bit of isolation when it comes to the biceps and triceps and calves, but just keep things really simple. Another concept I like is to keep continuous tension on the muscle being worked, meaning that don't do that lockout training. Like if you're doing a push-up, don't lock out the elbows and like rest on top. Go like, I like to say 7/8 or 15/16. Keep that continuous tension on the muscle. It'll make the set much more intense without damaging your joints. It enables you to lift lighter weights, and get a great pump and a great response. Okay, and once again, listen to your body, like I keep on saying, and don't train in pain. Okay, let's see, I missed some questions here. Okay, thanks for everything, Mike. I used to truly hate the way I look, so I wouldn't give my body a break, but finding your channel, it's helped me love myself and give myself a break at times. I love it. That's great. I really appreciate it. Thanks a lot. Let's see, Carrie. Oh, cutting out. Yeah, sorry, Carrie. You know what? I don't know what's going on with my internet. Sorry about that. I'm using I'm using the hotspot off my phone, so hopefully this will work. Okay, I do 30 minutes of slow walking every day thanks to listening to you, Mike. Oh, that's so good. I feel great. I also do 1 set of different calisthenics each match. I play in games. I change them up, stretching. Oh, love it. Love it. That's exactly what I'm talking about here. And what did Juicy say? I already made a mistake back in January. I was uneducated, and I thought the only way to lose weight was exercise super hard. So I did 2 hours of intense running every day, sometimes 3. Yeah, Juicy, you're a little bit of an extremist like me. I would be careful, and I'd start cutting it back for sure. So let me give you like just a typical example of what I'm talking about. Like say you're doing this either 2 days a week, a Monday, or Monday, Thursday, or Monday, Friday, or maybe you're doing it 3 days a week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Okay, all the equipment you need, in my opinion, this is just a simple home workout, is some dumbbells. I don't think you can ever go wrong with dumbbells. The singular best piece of equipment you can have in your house. I love those exercise bands, those resistance bands. I think a flat bench, even an adjustable bench, is a great thing to have. And I also love the TRX because it's an inexpensive, great thing to have in the house that you can literally do anything with, which is so good. Okay, and some general concept is I only want you to do 1 to 2 sets per exercise. So for example, if you're doing a compound movement, Maybe you do a warm-up set, and then you do one relatively hard work set, depending upon where you are in your cycle. And you always want to warm up for 5 minutes. What I think is a great warm-up is you grab a very, very light dumbbell, maybe like a 5-pound dumbbell, even a 2.5-pound dumbbell. If you have a medicine ball, you're going to do a medicine ball. And then you want to move dynamically in all planes of motion. So say you do like 15 forward lunges, 15 sideways lunges, 15 rotational lunges. You do that on both sides, takes you 4 or 5 minutes, increases your body temperature, lubricates your joints, plus it's athletic to move dynamically in all 3 planes of motion. I think it's a great thing to do. And this is just a real basic, simple workout. You don't have to do this, but it's really, what I'm trying to get across here is just the general concept. Like body weight squats, if you're strong enough, you can hold the dumbbells, right? Your lunges, body weight lunges, all with dumbbells, right? So that's your leg workout, squats and lunges. Your push-ups, right? Seated resistance band rows. You're seated and you're just pulling those bands back, bicep. That's an antagonistic way of doing it. When you're doing a push-up, chest, shoulders, and triceps. When you're rowing back and biceps, right? Maybe a set of bench press with dumbbells. Then you do a Trx row where you hook that Trx up high and you do like a rowing movement. Google Trx if you don't know what I'm talking about. It's kind of like gymnastic like handles on some nylon straps that you attach in a doorway or on an anchor point, which is great. Just, you know, then you do a shoulder press with dumbbells, bicep curl, tricep extensions, and then you cool down with mobility movement. And I have all these exercises on my website. I mean, the website, not the website, the YouTube channel. I got a bunch of videos on mobility movement. And this routine can take you 30 minutes, you know, 20, 30 minutes if you're doing one set, maybe 40 minutes if you're doing 2 sets per movement. I mean, I think it's so simple, so basic, and I think it's great. Let's see. I have to do push-ups on the wall in my old, you know, I know tennis elbow. It's interesting because I got, like I talked about it last time, I got this tennis elbow. And Brian, my buddy, was in the live stream, and then he called me right after the live stream and said, you know, Mike, I had issues too. And he told me something he's been doing, and I've done it like 4 or 5 times, and it's already helping. I've been rolling my forearms and my bicep. You know, what I use, I take the Olympic bar in my gym, and I kind of like roll the muscle. It's almost like doing foam rolling. And I have to say, it's kind of helping already. I've done it like maybe 4 or 5 times. I feel like 10-15% better. I'm going to start doing it every day after Labor Day. But I understand how you feel. There's nothing wrong. I have a real like in-depth video about like how to do push-ups and how to start off a table and work your way down to the floor. You know, just Google it. I mean, not Google. I keep on saying Google. Like, you know, go to the YouTube channel to check it out. But maybe you did it already, Carrie. Okay. I've been on a good diet break for 2 weeks. I was on 2,000 calories a day. Good. I'm glad, Juicy. That's great. That's great. And I'm extreme. Yes, I know. I am too. But that's good. I'm glad you're on a diet break. I'm glad you're eating 2,000 calories a day. I think that's really, really smart. Hey, Gwen. Thanks for showing up. I do Body Fit by Amy Home. Dumbbell workout. She's on YouTube. Oh, check her out. I'm sure she's great. You know, there's so many great people on YouTube giving exercise prescription. Okay, Mike. The fact that Juicy Polar Bear is just a kid provides that pretty much all health advice are pretty much good for every. No, that's true. I totally agree. The only point I just want to drive home is that if you are a teenager, I really wouldn't want you intermittent fast. Like I wouldn't want my own kids to intermittent fast because I was just concerned that they're growing. You know, especially girls. You know, they really that calcium. You know, women more than men, when they get older, have issues with the osteoporosis and things like that. So it's so important, plus brain development and things like that, to take in good nutrition. But you really can take in good nutrition even with like a 1680 or an 18.6, as long as you're eating those good high quality foods, nutritious foods like I talk about, you know, in all my fasting. But I do agree with you, Gene. Okay, so let's go now. So we got the resistance training 2-3 times a week. You're not going to overdo it, 30-40 minutes. Let's go over the aerobics. And he's lost 54 pounds usually, which is really incredible. I love it. Okay, aerobic base building. This is what I mean by those long, easy workouts. And there's a guy that I follow. He's like incredible. His name is PhD, 𝘾𝙊𝘾𝘾𝙃𝙄𝙉𝙂. He came up with this base building formula. A lot of people don't give him credit, but he's been doing this for like multiple decades already. He was so ahead of his time. And this is what I like you to do when it comes to your aerobic. This is almost the key, in my opinion, to longevity. There's no singular best thing you can do. than to like walk consistently. The next slide is specifically on walking, but let's go over this basic aerobic base building formula. Easy aerobics every day, 30 to 90 minutes. That's key. And that just means like walking everywhere. Really important. And this is the general like target heart rate formula. Let me blow this up so you can see it better. Like traditionally for your target heart rate formula, you would take 220 minus your age, and that would be your maximum heart rate. So for example, if you're my age, it's 200 minus 160. So that would give you a max heart rate of 160 beats per minute. That would be my estimated max heart rate. The only way to really know what that is if you go to like a facility, like an exercise lab, and maybe you go to a cardiologist and they put you on like a treadmill, they ventilate you, and they give you like a maximum stress test. But that's a pretty good formula. So for example, 180 minus your age would be what I would consider, and what 𝘾𝙊𝘾𝘾𝙃𝙄𝙉𝙂 would consider, your aerobic heart rate. Meaning that the traditional formula would use anywhere between 65 to 85% of your max heart rate, which could be a lot higher than the 180 minus your age. In my opinion, this is the safest way to do 80% of your exercise, of your aerobic training. So for example, if you're 180 and you're 60 years old, you don't want your heart rate to go above 120. Now, one beat above it when you're doing these long, easy aerobic sessions. And I've also heard 𝘾𝙊𝘾𝘾𝘃𝙄𝙉𝙂 talk about, and I read about it in his books and on podcasts, saying that if you're taking medication or you're sick or just your body is off, use 170 minus your age. So if you're 60 years old, a heart rate of 110 is all you have to do. And my personal belief is you can even go lower. A lot of my long, easy walks, like when I'm going to take my 90 to 2 hour walk after this presentation, certain points of the walk, my heart rate's maybe 100. A good part of my walk, I'm at 90, 95, depending upon what incline. If I'm walking flat at a comfortable pace, I may only be 90 beats per minute. And I still think I'm getting tremendous benefit. And this is the type of work that's great for your brain, great for mental health. You are burning some body fat. This is truly aerobic. When you start getting into those higher exercise intensities, higher heart rates, you start burning more carbohydrates, could be more toxic. It's okay to do that for short periods of time to increase your VO2 max, which we're going to talk about with the HIIT workout. But most of your exercise, 75, 85%, should be in this level of intensity and in this zone. And that's when it comes to the walking. I like you to like really walk. Everyone's got to walk a minimum of 30 minutes a day, if not longer. I'd love it to do 90 minutes. And it could be 3 10-minute walks, right? Like I did a couple of videos, there's a couple of studies out there talking about how just walking for 10 minutes after every meal helps control blood sugar just as good as taking metformin medication, which is just mind-blowing. And metformin medication is like a medication that diabetics take to help lower and control blood sugar. If you can walk 30 minutes 3 times a day, would be incredible. All you can do is just do your one long walk, 60 to 90 minutes. I mean, you gotta just walk any chance you get. Park your car, and you always get park your car far from wherever you're going. Walk to your town if you're near your town. Just move around as much as possible. And I would also consider walking the same thing as cleaning your house, vacuuming, doing yard work, walking around. Just being physically active at a moderate level. Right, where your heart rate, depending upon your age, does not exceed 180 minus your age, even 170 minus your age. That's the key to the proper exercise program. In my opinion, even if you didn't do resistance training, if you didn't do anything, this is the key right here. Walking every single day. When you look at the blue zones across the world, the people who live the longest, they walk everywhere. All in Europe, the U.S. people don't walk enough. They just don't. They drive. Convenience is the key. I like walking. Yeah, I'm glad too. I love it. It's the best thing. I love it just for mental health. I mean, you're in a bad mood, go take a 90-minute walk. I don't think you can be depressed or anxious if you're walking 90 minutes to 2 hours every single day. You walk for 30 minutes 3 times a day. You can't feel bad. You really can't. I mean, hey, some people can, but 90% of the people won't. I don't think. Okay, let's see what Jeff's got here. Okay, I got a lot of walking yesterday all around Texas. A&M football stadium. Well, that's pretty good. handing out flyers. Most exercise I've gotten since summer tennis season ended. That sounds good. Hey, that's great. That's cool. That's good. Cool. Plus, you get to see your neighborhood. Yes, I totally agree. You get to see the neighborhood. You talk to people. I remember, who was that? James Taylor had that song, The Walking Man, but he never stopped to talk to anyone in that song. He said, the walking man walks. I always like that song. It's kind of a cool song. Okay, so far we got our resistance training, right? 2 or 3 times a week. Let's say you're doing that like on a Monday, Wednesday, Friday, or even just a Monday, Thursday. Then you're going to do your walking pretty much every single day. If you can do it in the morning, if you do it at lunch, you're doing it, just do it. Get outside and walk. And then you do want to do a little bit of this high intensity interval type training, the HIIT type training, but you got to keep it really short. Let's see. Okay, thanks, Mike, for everything. I have to learn right now to go. Okay, I have to leave right now. Okay, God bless you and everyone here in the chat. You guys got this. Oh, thanks. I really appreciate it. I'm so glad you're doing so well. Thanks for showing up. Excellent. Great job. Okay, so let's go over just how you should do HIIT. First of all, you can use any type of equipment. You know, if you have access to like an exercise bike at home, or you have, you do go to the gym, you can use the treadmill, the incline, you can use an elliptical. It doesn't really make a difference. But the key is you want to keep it short. If you're doing it at home, you can just walk and maybe hustle up a hill. You can go into a little bit jog or a sprint, whatever it is. It doesn't make a difference, okay? Short, hard cardio, 15 minutes, so no longer than 15 minutes on non-consecutive days. So say you're doing your resistance training on Monday, Thursday, you're walking every day. Do this maybe on a Tuesday, maybe Tuesday, Saturday, even just one day a week. But don't do it on the day when you're doing your intensity, your resistance training. Do it on a different day, okay? All you want to do is 5 30-second intervals at 90 to 100% effort. I don't think you even have to go to 100%. So for example, let's say you're doing this outside. Okay, you start walking for 2 minutes, you start going into a slow jog for another 2 minutes, you're 5 minutes into your workout. Then you kind of sprint, or you kind of maybe you see a hill coming, you kind of hustle up a hill, get that heart rate up there just for 30 seconds, go easy for a minute, just do that 5 times. That's the whole thing. That's going to increase your VO2 max. That's going to give you a strong, healthy cardiovascular system without overdoing it. But if you did this type of workouts that I don't like, even Mark Sesson uses that term, chronic cardio, like if you went like 90% effort, like in a spin class, or say you went to Orange Theory or something like that, and you're just cranking your heart rate. Let's say you're 160, you're my age, is 60, and you're keeping your heart rate at like 150, 160, like 90% of the time for 45 minutes an hour. Not good. Yes, you will burn a lot of calories. Yes, you will burn a lot of carbohydrates. But in my opinion, you're risking damaging your heart and overtraining, and you're going to wind up with like orthopedic type issues. You don't have to do that. You can create the response. Your VO2 max can be just as high as someone who does this type of thing for 60 minutes, and you're getting the same benefit with only 15 minutes. The only negative thing at 15 minutes, if it is a negative, is that obviously you're not going to burn as many calories. But another one of my core beliefs, and you've heard other people say this, don't control your weight with exercise. Control your weight with diet. Exercise to create the response you want, right? You can't, like they say, you can't out-exercise a bad diet. You can do it temporarily, but you just can't. So work out like this, okay? So we got the whole pretty much workout plan. Resistance training 2-3 days a week, 30 to 40 minutes, right? Walking as much as humanly possible at a relatively moderate to easy pace, 180 minus your age as a heart rate. And you're going to do 1 to 2 of these high intensity HIIT cardio type workouts once, if not maybe twice a week. I think once a week is even enough when you get older, for sure. Okay, so now let's go over my favorite. Okay, oh cool. Oh, thanks, Jeff. Okay, let's go over my favorite intermittent fasting strategy. I'm afraid I'm going to lose my signal here. I hope not. Let's go over my favorite fasting schedule. Okay. And you've heard me talk about this before. First of all, you're going to eat a whole natural food diet. That's the key. No processed food, no junk food, no garbage. And what we mean by whole food is, chicken, fish, meat, right? Eggs, even like Greek yogurt, a little processed fermented. Fermented foods are fine, right? You can eat tons of vegetables. You can have a couple of fruits a day. This is the whole natural food diet that I'm talking about. No processed food, no cookies, no cake, no junks, no chips, no thing with high fructose corn syrup in it. That's why even cereal, you may think like a multi-grain cereal is good for you in the morning. You look at the label, it's all sugar and high fructose corn syrup, right? And all processed oils. Is it better to walk before or after eating? I think both are just as good. Benefits to both. If you do it in a fasted state, you probably burn like a higher percentage of fat calories, but it's somewhat debatable fasted cardio, because the respiratory exchange ratio can don't overthink it. I think they're both equally as good. I love fasted walks first thing in the morning, and I love walking